Hi everyone, and welcome to the Git workflow on Topaz tutorial. I am currently in my on my local machine in my Pawsey project directory, where I have my directory that contains my data, my machine learning model, and results folders and things like that. And I'm going to want to move using Git and GitHub a branch of this repository, or create a branch of this repository on Topaz, so that I can link up my workflows, have version control set up, and allow for best practice when it comes to working with a project both on your local machine and on a remote, such as the Pawsey HPC Topaz. So if you look in my directory, I've got my mnist.py file here. I've got a results directory or folder. I've got data, and I've got another file, arbitrary file called intern advice, which I will elaborate on in a moment. First off, as we will be using, we won't be using typical git add, git commit, git push for our data. We will use rsync, or we will use FileZilla, or we will potentially use git large file transfer. So for now, I'm going to include, I'm going to create a git ignore. I'm going to include the data directory in that git ignore in Vim, and I'm going to exit out with escape, followed by colon, with shift, followed by W, followed by Q, and then I'm going to press enter. And if I listing LA, I should see my git ignore, and then I do not have git initialized at the moment. So we will continue on and create the repo. So I'm going to go onto GitHub. If you're not on GitHub right now, github.com, or you don't have an account, pause the video, create your GitHub account, get to the home page, and then you can continue to follow on. And so once you're on the home page, I'm going to click the green new button here, create a new repository. I'm going to call this Pawsey Git or Pawsey HPC Git workflow. And I'm not going to check anything else. And then I'm just going to click create repository. And now I can begin with the fun stuff. So I will get my terminal window back up. I'm just going to clear this so I have a fresh terminal to work with. I'm going to git init. So I've initialized an empty repository. It's using master as the name for the initial branch. We would prefer main. So I'm going to git branch m main, and then if I go git status, I should see that I'm on branch main. So I've changed the name from master to main, as main is preferred to master. If you want to find more information about that, I think if you Google search master versus main and git, you'll be able to find reasonings as to why. Okay, and now I'm going to add all my files in my directory to the staging area, and then commit those to my local repository with git commit m, and sure to include a message, and you will see the files included here. So you can see data's missing, which is great. Shows that our git ignore is working. Then I'm going to git remote add origin, and that will be the this URL here. So depending on whether you have PAT or SSH set up on your local machine. I have PAT set up, so I'm going to use this following link with the HTTPS. So I'm going to git remote add origin, and that's done. So now I'm just going to clear so that I get a fresh workspace. So if you need to pause this video and catch up, otherwise I'm going to press clear right now. And then I'm going to push upstream to origin main. And this will be pushing all the files from my local repository, which I committed to, onto the GitHub repository or remote. And if I refresh my GitHub page now, I should see a host of files from my local machine up on there now. So now the purpose will be that I have gotten to a point where I now require Topaz to run some machine learning or deep learning. Could be MPI, OpenMP. And we no longer need our local machine for our next steps. And so we want to pull this repository onto Topaz. So I will now have an alias set up for Topaz. And so I will log in. Typo on my password. So I'm now into Topaz. I'm going to go into my group, which is where I want to pull our remote to. And I'm going to use the command listing just to see what's going on there. I'm going to create the machine learning directory. Sorry, let's make dir machine learning, cd machine learning, and then I'm going to git clone. Actually, rather cd back clear. I'm going to git clone so if I click into my repository that I've created, I can go into code, green button here, I'll see clone for HTTPS. I'm going to copy that, go back into my terminal where I'm on Topaz, and I'm going to paste after git clone. And I'm going to LSLA. Okay, I'm going to git init. Excuse me, no, I'm not going to git init. I'm going to cd into Pawsey. I'm going to listing LA, and I'll see that I have git .git already in the directory. I'm just going to clear my workspace. If you need to pause and catch up, please do so. Otherwise, we will continue. And I'm going to make a change to a file. So let's go into Vim intern advice. We can see the advice that Jordan's left. So let's go one with Bjorn, the alter ego. And let's give an intern some advice. Work consistently at a brisk pace to ensure that you are keeping on top of work and hit mini goals away. Okay, so some piece of advice from somebody who's taken the internship just off the top of my head. Please feel free to, if you do follow this exact demo, to do the same when you push to the remote repository. Otherwise, now we're going to make a change to the mnist file. What we want is not just this section of code here. We want to do the softmax regression example from projectpy.org /project/mnist-py. So we're going to copy and paste all this. We're going to minimize. We're going to come back to this file. I'm going to exit out of Vim. And rather than work in Vim, I'm simply just going to remove mnist, create a new mnist.py and paste the contents from the web page into here. Then I'm going to press escape, shift and colon together, WQ and enter. And now I should see my changes to the mnist file. Status. So you can see I've modified my two files now, and I'm going to want to get these out onto the remote repository at some point soon. But first I want to run my sbatch on my Slurm script. So I'm going to use a container. If you haven't got a container activated on your or set up on your HPC with your Pawsey account, then I recommend before continuing with this video to look at the using containers on Topaz video. Alternatively, you could use the virtual environments video. Make sure you have those set up before continuing this video and then follow along from here. So for the purpose of this video, we're going to use the container, which is on my Scratch right now. And if you don't want to run the sbatch as well, and you want to continue this video without setting up a container or a virtual environment at this point, you can follow along this next bit with the sbatch and Slurm script, but then just continue on with the GitHub commit and GitHub push statements. So you can skip the container bit and go on to the git commands later on if you feel free to do that. So I should be on my Scratch now. And I'm going to take, I've got my Singularity image file set up. So please look at the using containers on Topaz video. This is the script from that video as well. So I'm going to go into, or rather cat, mytest_slurm. This is what we're looking for roughly. So for me, I'm going to copy this my test slurm script across to my group, or alternatively for you, if you do not have this script currently, take a screenshot of this now, pause the video, take a screenshot of this now, and just go into Vim and write out the following lines as per the screen right now, except we will be changing and removing this test underscore. So your Python space should just have mnist.py in my group. So I'm going to move this to my group. And I'm going to call it slurm script sh. I'm going to go back into my group, or yes, my group. And I have I'm just going to check the contents of the slurm script. Yep, so I want to make this change here. I'm also going to add in the path to Scratch. So let me go into slurm script. Moving the tests, and here I want to have my Scratch path to the example SAF. So we've got our shebang here. We've got a petition, one node, 30 minutes of time, the account, which you can find in the path for my group. Just look for what follows group /. Export none, module load singularity, module load Python, and then we will run the statement below. And so I'm going to escape WQ, as long as I'm happy with everything. Oh, I see a typo first in my Scratch. WQ, and now I should be able to sbatch. Slurm script, submit a job. I'm going to check sq --me. This got my slurm output out can't open file. This clear slurm. Okay, so we're going to want to go cat slurm 2. Cannot open file mnist, no such file directory. Okay. So we do not have the mnist file here. So I'm going to quickly make sure that I copy and paste this from the mnist.py page and save that as a file. Vim mnist. Vim mnist.py. Insert with a lowercase I. Paste that in, escape WQ. And if I list now, I should be able to see the mnist.py over here. So I can now see my mnist.py. So I'm going to sbatch script. Job submitted, sq-me. Looks like it's already in process. So I'm going to take a look. Got this slurm output here. So I'm going to see the contents of that with cat. So we'll change going to make a change to our slurm script and use the file name test_mnist so that we are not having any errors with our file naming conventions and the modules we're using. So I'm going to sbatch slurm script sq-me. Expected start time, check it again. And there we are. So now I'm going to cat slurm2, and we've completed there. So this is what we're after. Everything looks good. So now we're going to try add, commit, and push these changes that we've made in the Pawsey HPC Git workflow. CD into Pawsey list and back out. I want to move my slurm 22960 out to Pawsey HPC results, and we will do that. So now if I CD into Pawsey HPC workflow, I'm going to remove the mnist there. Yep. Remove the mnist there. Move the test underscore mnist.py into Pawsey. Great. So now if I go git status, I should see that I have the test underscore mnist, the results slurm script or slurm output, sorry, .out. That's untracked at the moment. Deleted the original mnist.py, modified the intern advice. And now I will git add all. Here first. Git add. Commit first commit on Topaz. Got 3 files changed. 972 insertions. And now we will try push, git push, origin main. I'm going to go to Bjorn Makins, and I'm going to try first my password. And I get this notification, support for password authentication was removed on August 13th. So we can use a thing called a personal access token, or we can use SSH. So we're just going to go with SSH for the purpose of practicality on the HPC systems. All right, so I'm going to clear. Going to git remote remove origin, git remote v, nothing there. So I'm going to go back into my GitHub page where I have the repository, my GitHub remote repository there. I'm going to go on to the main page, and now I want the SSH link here. So I'm going to click on the code, SSH, copy that, SSH, and then I'm going to go back into my terminal window, git remote add origin, and then I'm going to put the SSH there. specified by the git at github.com, etc., etc. And now I'm going to look to set up SSH for connectivity. I'm looking at my .ssh under the home directory. I'm going to generate a key, public private key pair with the ed 25519 algorithm. And then for email, make sure that it is the email attached to your GitHub account. Your GitHub account user email, specified in double quotation marks there. Now just going to press enter so that it's saved in the default path, which is going to be specified here. So pressing enter. And then enter a passphrase. So I'll leave this up to you. What passphrase you'd like to set up, and then you enter the same passphrase again. And you should see this weird artwork, keys, random artwork to let you know that you have indeed created a key pair. And also tells you where it's saved. And now we will try check for authentication. Permission denied. So what we need to do is we need to cat the SSH ID 25519.pub. Copy and paste all this, or copy all this rather first. And then we're going to go into our GitHub, back onto GitHub through the browser. So click on the top right here, click on settings. Then we're going to go to SSH and GPG keys. Then we're going to go to new SSH key. I'm going to call this my Topaz SSH. Then I'm going to paste into here and click add SSH key. So I should see this here now. And so that should initiate the connection so that I can retry the lines I've previously tried. So I'm going to clear that ssh-t git at github.com. Enter the passphrase of interest, and I should get this cool, you've successfully authenticated SSH connection between my local repository on Topaz and my remote repository on github.com. So now I'm going to push those changes to remote. And success. So I'm going to confirm this in the browser. I'm going to go into my repository that I've been working with for this tutorial, which is the Pawsey HPC Git workflow. And I'll see that these commits have indeed taken place. First commit on Topaz, intern device, so Bjorn's put in his change there, and you can do the same on our repository. If you have access to this, you can request access from me. Please just send me a message and we'll get you added to the account so you can add in your piece of advice here and try this out for yourself if needed. Otherwise, just apply what we've got, work we've gone through to your projects and working directories. So that concludes the tutorial on Git workflow on Topaz or other Pawsey HPC systems. So I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you for watching.